is gone. No Google, no Amazon.com, no email, no podcasts. In a world ruled by the dead, we are finally forced to start living.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Walking Dead TV podcast. This is the 4th episode. I'm surprised we got 4 out of us before this TV show started, but I think it's awesome. We got some great stuff today. I'm here with John, Jim, and Jordan, the Triple J. I got the Triple J with me. The Triple J on Triple 10.
One of these things is not like the other.
Speaking of, we're recording on Sunday night the 10th. You realize, guys, 3 weeks from right now, this TV show airs.
That's awesome.
I can't wait. I just can't wait. And after what I read today online about New York Comic Con, I'm even more excited. And our own Johnny M, he pulled some shenanigans. Did you pull some shenanigans, John?
I pulled some shenanigans. I was at the New York Comic Con all weekend. It was awesome and wild. It was completely overcrowded, oversold, and the people were overzealous. And as things tend to be around here. So there was an image panel on Friday, which I got to go to, and Robert Kirkman was on that. He talked a little Walking Dead, but it was more of a writer's panel thing where they talked about technique and how they go about their business. But that was very cool. So that was good on Friday. But Sunday, today, was the killer. That was the AMC Walking Dead panel. And it was the last panel of the con. And I knew it was going to be crowded, and I knew there was going to be a problem getting into it. So I went to the panel that came on right before The Walking Dead, which was the M. Night Shyamalan panel. And I went to that about a half hour before it ended. And what happened was...
You are dedicated, aren't you? Have to sit through Shyamalan Ding Dong just to get in on the Walking Dead panel.
He actually, as I was telling you guys off the air, it was an Unbreakable panel. It was the 10-year anniversary of the movie Unbreakable. So it was a pretty cool panel. But I guess people started having the same idea as me, that they were going to go in to see M. Night about a half hour into his panel. And then that panel would end and you wouldn't move, so that you'd already be in the IGN theater for the Walking Dead panel. So I'm about to try this, and this is at 1:15. And the Walking Dead panel is supposed to start at 2:15. And there's a guy walking in front of me, and security says, "What are you here for?" And he says, "Walking Dead." And they say, "You can't go in yet. We're going to form a line in a little while." And they turn him away. So then I walk up, and he says, "What are you coming for?" And I said, "M. Night Shyamalan, right this way, sir." So I snuck into M. Night Shyamalan, and I stayed for the end of the panel. And then when they announced that it was over, they began to escort everyone out of the IGN theater. And as they're opening the doors to let people out, I'm seeing the crowd of people waiting to get in for Walking Dead. And of course, I would now be on the end of that line. So I started to double back what row I was in, switch positions in the theater. I one time used I left my coat at my seat trick. I ducked a little bit, and then when I started to see them let the Walking Dead people in, I hurried to the middle aisle and kind of blended in with that group, and I ended up about 5th row in the center for the Walking Dead panel.
Okay, so how long was it? How many minutes went by between the filing out of M. Night people and the filing in of Walking Dead people?
I would say that I had to keep that up for a solid 20 minutes.
Oh, my goodness.
And the Walking Dead panel didn't even start until 3. So it was supposed to be 2:15, but they were having all of these crowd issues, and the IGN theater, Jim, you've been in the IGN theater because of the Wonder Woman screening last year, right? Wasn't that in the big room?
It was, yeah. It's in the big room at the bottom, almost like kind of the basement of the Javits Center, not really, but it's lower than everything else.
Right, and it's probably, 2.5 to 3 movie theaters size.
Easily. It's really huge. It's like the kind of size of, when I could see them doing like giant, like company-wide, corporate events there or something. It's a really big space.
Yeah, so they had every seat packed, and there's also a balcony that runs the perimeter of the room. The balcony was standing room only. People were standing on the steps to the balcony to fit in. So they finally just said, all right, that's it, close the doors. I felt bad. A lot of people we were kind of hanging around with came too late and didn't end up getting in, like Daryl, and he was probably with some other people as well.
Now, did you have press credentials?
I had press credentials, but it meant nothing.
Okay, because when we went to see the Wonder Woman premiere, they had a whole section just cordoned off for people with press credentials.
Yeah, they had a section there. It was like for staff, and they really didn't. At that point, I didn't ask. If I would have been stuck without a seat or a bad seat, I probably would have tried to inquire. But I ended up being about 5th row, and it was in a good shot of the speaker, so I was able to get good audio where I was, and I could see, and so I was happy. So I didn't really inquire.
Okay, John, let's go back to this 20-minute gap. I'm having a hard time understanding how you got away with. I'm looking for my coat for 20 minutes.
It wasn't. You have to understand, like, they're letting people out, so it's going from front to back. So I'm just, like, moving back. But I'm just switching what row I'm sitting in. I'm not going into the aisle and leaving. So then when it kind of all gets to the back, and this is a very dark place at this point, so I'm using the shadows and, very Spider-Man.
That's where reading Daredevil has helped you out.
Exactly. I'm in negative space. I'm wearing black. I'm hanging from the ceiling.
You're like Batman up in the Arkham Asylum.
So then I pulled the coat trick, which got me back up to the front row, and then I kind of wandered around, and I sat for a while, and then when I see ushers coming, I switched rows really fast.
Did you ever like drop down on all four and like crawl underneath chairs?
No, it didn't go that far. I was giggling to myself, and whatever, and it worked. So that was cool.
That's awesome.
And we're gonna get to that audio in a little bit, but I think we have some more stuff that we want to talk about.
I think I noticed this week in the store on the email I got from a local comic store, the Walking Dead hardcover volume 6 is actually supposed to hit shelves this weekend, and that would contain trades 11 and 12, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
The 12th trade came out maybe 2 weeks ago or 3. No, more. It's been out longer than that.
It's been out for like 2 months or so because I've had it for a while.
So they're due for that hardcover, so that's cool.
Yeah, I love those hardcovers. They're so nice.
Well, we celebrated National Zombie Day here in Pittsburgh today pretty royally by breaking our old world record at the Zombie Walk downtown. That was pretty cool. Over 4,000 people showed up dressed like zombies at Point State Park. They raised a lot of money for the Pittsburgh Food Bank, and it was totally cool. And George Romero was there, live bands. I know one of my line cooks was down there with the sign, "We'll work for brains," wearing one of the aprons he borrowed from work and a meat cleaver. So he said, posted some pictures on Facebook. So that's how we celebrated. And we had the zombie brunch at Zombie Geek Brunch today at Gypsy with the Zomblets and lots of other cool things we did with the zombie brunch. So Pittsburgh, Zombie Town, USA. We celebrated in style. It was pretty fun.
It's funny that you mention the meat cleaver thing. Just to go back to the Comic-Con real fast. I'm standing in a line, and I'm just like doing a quick overview of the crowd and the people walking around and everything. And there's like thousands of people holding weapons, and swords and axes and fake guns and everything that you would wear if you were cosplaying for a con. And I'm just thinking, like, what if one of these is real and the guy's nuts? What if one of these anime characters just happens to be carrying a real samurai sword? Like, is anybody really checking?
Not that I've given this any thought. In fact, I've never had this thought until you were just talking about it, John. So no need to call the police. But that would be a place like if you wanted to hide in plain sight and you were crazy, it would be like at a big convention like that.
Right.
You know, Johnny, what you pulled this year got somebody stabbed in the eye with a pen at San Diego Comic-Con.
That's right. I was going to mention that because the guy was trying to sit through one panel to see another one.
Which is weird. You're allowed to do that at San Diego Comic-Con, but not at New York Comic-Con?
No, they let you do it all con, but not for Walking Dead.
Oh, that's interesting. They made their own rules.
I guess it was the first event that had like a major line, so they decided like, listen, we gotta let these people online in. And they didn't. I was at a couple of other panels, and they announced like, you don't have to leave your seat. You know, please stay here if you're coming to, and they tell you what was up next. But they didn't do that at the end of M. Night Shyamalan. So I think they were just kind of reacting to the crowd that was gathering. So how about video game stuff? Don't we have some zombie-related video game news?
We have some big zombie-related video game news. Most people out there are probably familiar with Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2, the great games by Valve, company that brings you Steam and Half-Life and Portal, and tons of other great stuff. They recently, it was sometime in the spring, I want to say April, released Steam for Mac. And they announced that, hey, we're porting over all of our video games. If you can play it on PC, you can play it on Mac. And they did that at launch with, I think, just Portal, and then quickly Half-Life 2, and I think Half-Life 1 as well. I'd have to double check. But just this past week, they released Left 4 Dead 2. They haven't even done Left 4 Dead 1 yet. Well, Left 4 Dead 2 is currently playable on Mac. I've been playing it all weekend. It's great. They just released a new DLC, The Sacrifice, in which one of the characters from the first Left 4 Dead, you can see how they died. And they had a big sale. I don't think it's going on anymore, but I got Left 4 Dead 2 for $6.79. So that was pretty awesome. In other zombie video game related news.
Left 4 Dead 2, welcome to 2009, Jordan.
Well, I had bought Left 4 Dead the day it came out, but by the time Left 4 Dead 2 came out, I wasn't on PC anymore, so I didn't have a chance to play it till now. But it is pretty awesome, and it's running just fine on Mac. So
I was gonna say, I think it's super sweet that Valve is like making Steam available on Mac, and finally Mac users have something to gain. You know,
and all for free. I didn't have to buy like all those other games I already had. I didn't have to buy them again. I can play if I go to my parents' house. I can install Left 4 Dead 2 there for free. They're one of the coolest companies out there in terms of really supporting their fans and just doing awesome things. Their brand loyalty is through the roof.
Not zombie related, but Valve related. Have we heard any news on like the next Left 4 Dead? I'm sorry, the next Half-Life, or the next Portal?
Well, Portal comes out in March, I believe. Portal 2, and it looks
Portal
awesome.
2 is in March. Date on download on Steam and on desk. So
Yeah, PC, Mac, PS3, and I think Xbox. I don't think there's any Nintendo Wii counterpart, but I'm not sure about that. Half-Life 2 Episode 3 and/or Half-Life 3, nobody really knows yet. I've heard rumors that they're just going to skip Episode 3 and go straight to Half-Life 3, which I would be fine with. But it's been at this point about 3 years since Episode 2 came out, so I really want to play some more Half-Life.
Yeah, it's a pretty awesome game.
Oh yeah, I love it. In other zombie-related video game news, Dead Rising 2 just came out, another zombie sequel. Just like the first game, you're playing in a mall, and the draw of the game is, hey, anything you see around you can use as a weapon. And in Volume 2, you can combine things. So you can take a chainsaw and stick it on the end of a canoe oar, and then have some distance on it, or other things like that. So it's all combining things to make new and improved weapons. I haven't played either of the Dead Rising games, but they look really interesting. Has anybody here played them?
I played the first one, and also I wanted to mention that if you want to kind of get an idea of what the Dead Rising 2 is all about on Xbox Live and on PlayStation Network, for like $5, I think that you can download Dead Rising Case Zero, which is almost like an elongated demo. It's like 5 to 6 hours of gameplay. It'll totally give you an idea of what is going on in Dead Rising 2 when you like the mechanics of the way it plays. Personally, Dead Rising 1 I thought was a really great idea, but some of the game mechanics kind of bogged it down, and I've heard that some of the same game mechanics are in play with the sequel as well. For instance, kind of a problematic save system, a time limit, and a lot of escort missions. So those are like 3 things I really hate.
I've heard that escort missions have been really improved, though, that the characters actually fight back. But yes, escort missions and stealth missions and underwater missions, the trifecta of terrible game mechanics.
But if you want to get a taste of Dead Rising 2, like I said, check out Dead Rising Case Zero on Xbox Live or PlayStation Network. It's getting an 80 from Metacritic, which isn't bad. But if you like Dead Rising 1, I definitely, from what I've heard on the video game podcasts, check out Dead Rising 2. And if you had problems with the same game mechanics of Dead Rising 1, they are still around. So caveat emptor.
And on Left 4 Dead 2, I know I said that I got it on sale. I think that sale is done, but the normal price right now is just $19.99. And if you buy it on PC, you can play it on Mac and vice versa. So it's an awesome value there. And Jim, didn't you mention one other video game when we were off there? I don't remember what that was.
Well, there's new downloadable content for Red Dead Redemption. I don't know if you guys have played that game. I think John had it, but it brings zombies to Red Dead Redemption. It's called Undead Nightmare. It's coming out in just a couple of weeks from Rockstar Games, and it's going to put a whole new complexion on Red Dead Redemption. A storyline with Seth the Gravedigger extends to zombies and the undead overrunning the Wild West. So it should be a really cool mix of game styles, and it sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun.
So before we get to the audio of the panel, I want to talk a little bit about the clips that I saw. They showed us 2 6-minute clips of footage that has not been seen today at the panel, and they were from episode 2. Interestingly enough, one thing I just wanted to mention was that everything in the footage did not happen in the comic. So I thought that was very interesting. I thought it was an interesting choice, is what I want to say. It's almost like at Comic-Con, you might want to show that you're being loyal to the books, where they kind of flipped it and said that you don't know what's coming, and it was actually pretty effective. I mean, the clips went over really well. And they showed a bunch of the cast. They picked a clip for the second choice that showed a lot of the cast so that everybody would kind of get a peek. I would say that Glenn got the biggest ovation.
Yeah, during the audio, they really talk about that too, about how that they have the source material, which is the comic, but they're going to make little detours here and there, so it'll keep it interesting for people who already know the comic and people who don't.
Yeah, and they went out of their way to show some new faces a little bit, and a couple of the actors for characters that are not in the book were also on the panel, which was nice. So they really mixed it up, I think, again, to go out of their way and just kind of say, we're sticking to it, but we can take as many detours as we like. I think Frank said it as, we can step off the path all we want, because then we can just step back on the path.
And hey, not to spoil what's in that footage, Johnny, but what did you think of the overall tone and feel of it? Did it work for you?
It worked for me. It's kind of surreal at first. We spend so much time like looking over all this information, and we're so into the comic, and the anticipation for the show has been so huge. Then when you're watching it, it just feels weird at first. It's hard to explain the feeling that I got. I was impressed by how it was shot. It seems to have a very claustrophobic, frantic kind of feel to it. Some of the shots are very tight. They were so tight to Rick in one point. I won't get too much into what I saw, but it was so tight to him that it was almost first person as he ran around and zombies kind of popped out all over the place. And what was evident was comedy. They showed a couple of really funny lines, especially by Glenn. So I think there's going to be that Kirkman kind of wit, mixed in with the action and the tension. And certainly, they went out of their way to show some over-the-top violence.
Do you think Glenn might be the new Hurley?
I could definitely see Glenn having a cult following, definitely.
I think the concept of throwing some comedy in here is really going to make the show. It's not going to be a comedy, but I should use the words comic relief, I suppose, or a bit of a tension break. Everybody likes to laugh, when the tension is high. It just kind of soothes things. And I have a feeling that I wouldn't be surprised if some people started watching the show and then stopped watching it because it was so intense and they were like on the edge of their seat for an hour. I know some people that would be like, I don't need to sit there and be so stressed out for an hour. I'd rather go watch, Blossom or something like that. So I think
it's a very special episode.
Yes, I think the occasional comic relief, the occasional break in the tension will really help the viewer realize, oh gosh, I've been holding my breath for 10 minutes. I didn't realize that. So now I can relax a little bit and I'm going to enjoy the rest of this episode.
Yeah, so the things, one more time real quickly before we run the audio from the panel. The things that stuck out to me were the violence definitely, the comic relief, the fact that they showed a lot of footage that took a direction that the comic didn't go in. And finally, they gave you the feeling of the scope. I'll just give away one thing. The first shot I was shown in the clip was the zoom down to the tank. And it's way up above the buildings, and as they kind of come down towards that tank in the street, you can see like groups of zombies everywhere, gathered over a body, gathered over, the fallen horse, or all different kind of, smoke everywhere, things on fire. Really that big scope feel, which is something that they talk about in the panel as well. And we've been kind of saying that from the beginning, that it needs to have the scope, and I think it's going to.
I thought there were a lot of really good moments in this audio that we're about to play. I mean, when Darabont says he had to go back to prison, that was hilarious.
Yeah.
When they all talk about what their favorite zombie movies are, they ask everyone on the panel what their favorite zombie films are. I thought that was really interesting. There's a lot of really good stuff in this audio. I'm just amazed that from the crowd you're able to get such good quality, John. Good on you, man.
Yeah, I would like to thank M. Night Shyamalan and, for helping me out on that one. So I'll just set it up a little bit.
Avatar: The Last Airbender available on Blu-ray.
Yes. This will be immediately coming back from being shown the first clip. So the crowd's kind of roaring when we start this off. We're just coming back from the first clip, and then we'll get the introductions of Frank Darabont and Galen Hurd and Robert Kirkman. And there'll be a portion in the middle where they tell you that they're going to go to another clip, and then I'm going to cut right to where we come back from that video clip. And it's good. Probably about 45 minutes of you got the whole cast. Again, Galen Hurd, Darabont, Kirkman, and you get all the major stars from Sarah Wayne Callies and Stephen Yeun, who is Glenn. And of course, you'll have Jeffrey DeMunn wasn't there actually. He's Dale. What is Jeffrey DeMunn known for?
Frank Darabont movies.
Okay, because he got a major applause when they mentioned him and stuff. So that's
yeah, he was in Shawshank and The Green Mile. I can't remember if he was in The Mist as well, but he's a character actor.
He was in Hollywood Landburn after reading Majestic, Green Mile, Storm of the Century.
He's one of those character actors that you see and you immediately recognize his face. You're like, oh, that guy.
Right.
The Blob, The Hitcher, Warning Sign, Francis Ragtime, First Deadly Sin, Christmas Evil. Fun stuff.
And of course, Andrew Lincoln is there, who plays Rick Grimes, and Laurie Holden is Andrea. And one funny one, John Bernthal is Shane, and there's a funny moment here with him because of the New York reaction to the character that he plays, and I'll leave it at that and let you enjoy it.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, so here is the New York Comic-Con 2010 Walking Dead AMC panel. Enjoy.
All right, well, let me bring out some folks to talk to, shall we? Let's bring out to the stage first the creator of the Walking Dead comic book, Robert Kirkman. We love turning comic books into film, in this case TV, Galen Hurd. Mr. Frank Darabont. Yes, you guys get our reaction.
Is it working? Are there any doubts left? Anyone?
Well, I'm going to toss a couple questions out to you guys real quick, just to get you guys warmed up and started here. Gail, I want to start with you, because as I mentioned in your intro, it's obvious everybody here knows that you love comic book projects. So what was it about Walking Dead that interested you about becoming an adaptation?
Zombies. Robert Kirkman and so many great issues of comic books that continue to get better and better. So we've got material for. I think we talked about we're going to the Simpsons right here.
Yeah, Simpsons.
And the opportunity to work with Frank Darabont.
So Frank, why, this is your first foray into television. I'm curious why you thought about adapting Walking Dead as a TV series and not as a film.
Well, the nature of what Robert has done, it lends itself, I think, brilliantly to an attenuated, long-term, serialized treatment. I had it in my mind that it would be great to do a series set in the zombie apocalypse, because I've been a zombie fan since I saw it, and I believed that when I was a kid. And I stumbled over Robert's, material, and I thought, oh my God, this is putting in my hands the very thing that I've been thinking about for some years. And honestly, I wouldn't want to do a zombie movie, I don't think, because it's been done and done really well. And so why go and kind of repeat the moves of other filmmakers who've done it and done it better? But this feels very fresh to me because it's a different way into the material, to do this as a serialized thing, following this ensemble of marvelous characters over a period of time, as long as they let us do it. That gets me very excited.
Okay. Well, piggybacking off of that answer, then this is what Gail and Frank. We've never seen zombies on TV. So was this a hard sell to AMC, or was it the contrary? I mean, they are known for edgy content.
What's great is that when you find the best home for something, you know right away. The very first phone call to the executives at AMC is, okay, I know you've got Mad Men, got Breaking Bad, but are you interested at all in doing, maybe
zombies?
Serious novel? Maybe The Walking Dead. They said Robert Kirkman's The Walking Dead. I'll tell you. Yeah, and I actually looked at the phone and thought maybe that was a prank phone call. Maybe it actually reached somebody else, but no, they were fans. And you have to give them props for Fear Fest. If you guys haven't watched AMC's Fear Fest programming, it is the best in genre and horror films leading up to Halloween, which is when we premiere. So they know they love it.
Frank, so how different was the process for you, working on television? I want to say smaller scope because it feels still, that clip alone shows this very cinematic feel to the series.
We try to go for that cinematic feel, and I think that just to give a little shout out to the crew, our keys, our crew, our cast, everybody put so much effort into making this as big as we could make it, And there's some incredibly, it looks bigger than our budget, let me put it that way. There's an incredibly great solution-oriented thinking that has gone into the making of this, and I'm consequently very proud of not just what we've done, but what everybody's done on the show. Was that a question? Was that an answer?
And Greg Nicotero.
And Greg Nicotero, yeah.
Absolutely amazing work by Greg, as you can all see now.
Yeah.
So Robert, this is going to be an obvious answer, I'm sure.
I love those.
How's it feel to see your names?
It's horrible. I almost teared up when Glenn showed up for the first time on that screen. It was just, it's
Is it coming to fruition, kind of how you played it out in your head? Or?
No, it's working out better than I could have ever imagined. Just to see everything that Frank and Gail put into this, and how the actors have done their work, and everybody on the crew, and Greg Nicotero, and just to see the amount of support that AMC's put behind the show. I never could have expected things to go this well. I really couldn't. I never in a million years could I dream that it would have gotten to this level, honestly.
He said something, not because anybody's asked, but what he said is very apt. It's worth repeating. AMC's been so supportive. In order to do the best work that we can, you need that venue. You need people who are going to let you get out there and do your best work. Because often it's the opposite case. So thank you to you fine folks.
And we need you. So Frank, how close to the comic book series are you keeping this? Do you have plans to kind of take it in your own direction? We're
going in every specific direction we can. We're gonna take as many detours as we feel like taking, which is something that I've always, from our earliest conversations, Robin and I sort of agreed that if good ideas come up, let's not ignore them. Let's fold them into the fabric of this narrative. My idea has always been, we step off the path, we can always step back on it. Ultimately, the path that Kirkman has provided us is a very good one, and I intend to continue to follow it. But we're going to range out, we're going to step off to the right or to the left as we go along, and not constrain ourselves. So there's going to be a lot of, I think there's going to be a lot of surprises, even for the most devoted fans of the comic book. Things that they're not expecting, which is great because it's going to keep us surprised and interested in making the show too, I think.
Oh yeah, no, well, that clip I think is a testament to what the show is able to do because none of that is in the comic book. That escape from the tank and the way he encounters Glenn, it's kind of happy. I mean, that kind of happens in the comic book, but not in that way. And that's very important to me because I want people to be watching the show and be just as thrilled as they were the first time they read the comic book. And I think you've done that really well. And I think it shows in that clip just how faithful to the material you're going to be, but also you're going to be adding stuff that I could say it can almost make it cooler. So I think it's really cool.
So it sounds like then any time you step off the path, it's going to be more organic. It's not like, okay, in episode 4, we're going to start telling our own story. It's you're interweaving.
It needs to be woven into the fabric of what Robert has the trail that he has blazed before us. It really needs to fairly and organically lay into that fabric. Otherwise, it's just a cool idea that doesn't fit. And in my line of work, you run into all kinds of cool ideas that don't fit. You discard them.
So Robert, actually understand you wrote it, so this is correct.
I wrote the fourth one, so yes it is.
So
it's really good.
These characters you created in a completely different medium.
It was really fun to go back and because a lot of these characters are dead in the comic. So it was a lot of fun to go back and spend some more time with them and also get to learn how to work in a new medium. It was very thrilling for me to have to kind of find new ways of telling a story and work in a different way that I'm accustomed to. And I'll be honest, I hope to do it again. So I had a good time with it.
And Gail, you mentioned Greg Nicotero earlier. I'm curious, can you talk a little bit about Olympic the zombies and how your zombies are kind of different from anything you've ever seen before?
Well, from the very beginning, we wanted to make sure that our zombies were a tribute in essence to the film that Frank and Robert love so much, which is Night of the Living Dead. So we didn't want the Usain Bolt super special zombies, and at the same time, it was really important that we get the makeup right, and we did makeup tests from the very beginning. And in fact, we chose our camera system based on what was perfect to showcase the zombies. And as it turns out, we're shooting on film, and we're shooting Super 16, and it's a tremendous amount. And all of it.
I love that people clap at that because they told me that. I was like, what? Okay, I don't know.
You'll like it.
That looks great.
And we wanted that from the very beginning. We didn't want this to feel, like some, this is a zombie series. It should look like one, and it should have that verisimilitude. And we should take it seriously. And we should do the best job we can. They're not a gimmick. They're real. We have lunch with them.
That was always
and we worked lunch.
So what is your favorite zombie movie? If you go, we'll go down.
Hands down, my favorite favorite zombie movie is Day of the Dead. I like I think it's some of the best zombies. Greg Nicotero was actually there for that work on that.
He plays one of the soldiers.
Yeah, he's the guy that grows the pot.
Yeah.
There's also the animated head that is severed in Boomer's mouth and stuff. But yeah, that one's the nastiest, and I don't really like that one.
Not living dead.
Yeah, the one that's already
I love hearing you say Day of the Dead because that usually gets dissed, and I think it's criminally underrated. I think it's an awesome picture. And it's got that enclosed pressure cooker thing that I dig so much. So that would probably be that would be way up there for me. But I got to go with the original, the best, the first and the best. Night of the Living Dead. And it's just the image of the dead people standing around the farmhouse waiting for a bus apparently. So it's great. Yeah.
And major props to Shaun of the Dead also.
And Dead Alive. Good job. We could go on. I also love the Naked pictures. Those are awesome. But they're not really zombies. I still love it.
Yeah, we joked around a few months back, and I asked you, I'm going to ask you again for the New York folks here. Would you say zombies are than vampires?
Zombies are better than vampires. I think today might be International Global Zombie Day. And so, let's you don't hear Global Vampire Day. I've never seen a global vampire walk. I'm not sure that I want to.
There's a global vampire suck. I hope they're not into vampires because I used to love vampires. But I'm just so I'm worn down now. I hope I can get that way with zombies ever because I know
Sparkly.
Sparkly. You're too sexy. Sorry.
I've never seen your microphone before, right?
That's because he's here with 2,000 of his friends.
That's right.
So,
They won't go any further than this one, right?
So, Frank, is there a major storyline from the books that you're really eager to get your hands on?
I can't wait to get to Michonne. Striding out of the wasteland with the samurai sword. A couple of zombies, armed zombies chained to her. I can't wait to get there. It's like a spaghetti western / samurai ultra cool blackjack. It's like the Pam Grier role, sort of. You know, it's like a 70s Pam Grier with zombies chained to her. I mean, it's like,
So when do you think we'll be seeing that?
Season 7, so 2.5.
Make sure we get a few season pickups.
Robert, do you have a favorite character that you like to write for? One of people like?
Favorite character? I like writing Rick, obviously. And there are a lot of characters I miss, which is something I'm really excited about the television show for. Like, I hope that we get to see Axel again. I honestly miss the donor, which is awful. I love that the show exists so that we can get back to that and maybe see those people again.
Well, that's the other thing I can't wait to get to.
And
The governor.
Denver.
Yeah, it's all great stuff.
Yeah, so, I mean,
I go back to prison.
yeah.
He told me when I first talked to him, he was like, I don't really like this comic book, but he's got a prison, and so I feel like I need to go back.
You know, that's a great story about prison, and I had to put it down for a while when we got to that point because it was just so intense. And you know, how far can you push the boundary on television? How far can you go?
Farther than you think.
What we saw just now is nothing. There's way cooler stuff like in the show that just blows me away. So I think people are gonna be really shocked with just the level of things that we'll be able to get away with.
There is no holding back.
Yeah, I've actually been, there were some times we were shooting things when I thought, okay, well, this will be, we'll restore it on the DVD. Standards and Practices sends us the email going, oh, that was really good.
The Standards and Practices emails that we get, I'm always just like,
What should say that because the bosses are here. Standards and Practices is doing a fine job. But yeah, I mean, if we were doing this as an R-rated feature, I don't think there's anything we'd be doing differently. I certainly directing the pilot didn't have to compromise in a moment like that. And but look, if you look at Breaking Bad, you can see where those, and we're going to make them look like anyway.
I know this is kind of really hard before doors, but I gotta ask you guys because we all want to see it. How certain do you think you'll be making announcements on season 2?
Well, if everyone tunes in and writes to AMC, we need help. We need your help. Tell your friends.
Tell your friends to watch.
Exactly, watch it live. There you go. So, but why don't we show them another clip then?
I wish we could show you a head blowing up, but it's just people talking. There, that's it.
We're gonna show you a little bit more of the ensemble cast here. So.
Yes, these are most of the other folks, not everybody, but most of them.
Frank, how'd you go about finding this great cast?
With a lot of help. Certain cast members, I do love to work with certain people again and again. And if the role is appropriate, the first people I call, Jeff DeMunn didn't need to audition for this, and for Dale. Lori Holden did not need to audition for these were actors that I very much had in mind, but not every cast is a one-size-fits-all. We went through quite a long and involved process with our casting directors, Sharon Bialy and Sherry Thomas, who put together the Breaking Bad cast. They were recommended to us by AMC, and they worked out brilliantly well because they started vetting all the actors and they started bringing folks in. And in fact, they were the ones, if I'm not mistaken, they were the ones who suggested Andy Lincoln for the role of Rick, which at first glance was, what, you mean that really cute British guy? Well, actually, I'm not saying Shepard, and you're giving me that guy, and he turned out to be brilliant, of course. So it really was not unlike any other given casting process in that sense. It was looking at a lot of folks and really trying to find the ensemble that worked the best, that was the best blend of things, and that felt closest to the characters that Robert has created.
Well, why don't we bring that?
And then once they passed the test that we saw their auditions, the highlight for them is they got to come audition in Frank's garage.
In my garage. And Bernthal showed up with his pit bull.
we invite someone to your garage. They're not going to come without protection.
That's true. All right, let's bring out the cast. Let's start first. He's a new character. His name in the film is, the show is Daryl Dixon. Mr. Norman Reedus.
I got Norman, but he went to go potty.
Well, ladies and gentlemen.
Stephen Young, ladies and gentlemen.
Next up, she plays Andrea. Oh, no, there he is.
Fresh from the body.
Okay, all right, she plays Andrea in Walking Dead. Lori Holden. Fans of the series know him as Shane, John Bernthal. Next, we have Lori herself, Sarah Lane Callies. And last but not least, Rick Grimes himself, Andrew Lake.
Are you having fun?
That's really good. Frank, you can do this for a living.
Thank you. So are you.
Well, I think obviously it's safe to assume that everybody in this room is a fan of Walking Dead, but nonetheless, we have an initiative for the cast. If you wouldn't mind, maybe start with you, Andrew, and work our way down. Tell us who you play, a little bit about the character.
Yeah, I play Rick Grimes. I know I'm sort of preaching to converted here, but he's a cop from Atlanta, Georgia. He's married to Laura, has a son called Carl, and at the top of the show, he gets shot and wakes up to find himself in a zombie apocalypse.
I hear that.
He's not having the best time in his relationship, but it's a kind of it's a dream part for me, this one, because he's an everyman. And the thing I loved about the part when I read the graphic novel was that I understood why you guys are so loyal to the book, because he reacts in a way that I would wish to react, I think, in those circumstances. And he's an honest man. My accent, by the way, is ugly fake. We've been trying to talk about it for weeks. I'm Sarah, I play Lori Grimes. I'm not excited about it too. I'm Rick's wife, Carl's mom. That's Carl, by the way, the R in that word. We have strange relationship reasons that I totally don't understand. Lori is an incredibly intuitive woman, a protective woman, and a deeply flawed woman. I don't expect everyone in this room to be real happy with me for the first couple episodes. Hang in there. There's a good reason for everything that happens, and one of those good reasons is that the world is ended. And this is a woman who's very passionate about trying to hang on to humanity in any form she can find it. You're with us. Hi everybody, I'm John Murdoch, play Shane Walsh. Shane is a dear, close, probably the closest friend to Rick and his wife Lori. These two on the right of me, it was an absolute honor to be a part of this. This is a really special project, and as I said in the last Comic-Con, we worked really hard to do this right for you guys, and your passion and your loyalty is quite amazing and wonderful, and thanks for letting us be a part of it. We're not going to do you wrong.
Hi, I'm Lori Holden. I play Andrea. Prior to the apocalypse, Andrea was a lawyer, and she has a real strong moral code. She fights against injustice and is very impassioned to help others. When the apocalypse happens, she's on a road trip with her little sister, who loses her family. And she's basically a gal that's just trying to keep it together and protect her baby sister and trying to help the community as much as possible. She's just a gal trying to survive.
And we'll get really good with guns.
Very excited about that.
Hi, I'm Steven Young. I play Clint. You guys saw Glenn up there. Glenn is kind of he's a young guy who's kind of willing to do anything. Right now he doesn't have much to live for in terms of immediate family, but he kind of finds it in his group, and he kind of grows up over the course of time into a man. So, to watch.
Yes. I'm basically, I play Agent Joe Dixon, who's half of a badass brother, ex-con team of a-holes, basically. And I don't think I'm allowed to tell you anything about me, but it's actually my character, through the course of this sort of finds where his loyalty is laid, maybe they don't lay where he starts out, so it's pretty much what I can say.
He makes one of the greatest entrances in the show.
All right, well, another question for the cast. After you landed it, when you were working on the series, did you feel it was important to pick up the comic and read it and know where your characters were coming from, or would you rather just want to address it fresh without any kind of because of that?
It's a good question, because obviously those of you guys who are here will know that at the beginning, you kind of view the world through Rick's eyes, and in the graphic novel, that's the same kind of thing. So I read it to a point, and then I stopped reading because I thought actually it's going to be more useful to discover it as we filmed, actually. So yeah, it kind of, I wanted to read on, I got about 100 pages in, and I thought I actually don't want to find out anything more about the epidemic, so I stopped.
Yeah, you lose the body part? Do they
She didn't mention which body part.
Anyone else pick up the comic, or again?
I picked up just the very first comic for a feel of it, and I think I was back in the comic book store within an hour and a half, and I sort of thought we have. It's extraordinary. When I come to this, with luck I managed to keep this from Frank until we signed a contract. I've never seen a zombie movie, and I've never read a comic book. And I asked myself the same question, and what's been amazing to me is I've actually become a legitimate fan of a show that I actually have to watch through my fingers. But I love it. I think this comic, I mean, I see it as literature. I think it's a great piece of literature.
Don't build it up too much.
If you like War and Peace.
Lori, you said you picked it up as well?
Yeah, I read Companion 1 when I got the gig, and but I didn't want to get too far ahead of myself like Andrew, because what's so wonderful about The Walking Dead are the characters are so rich and textured and complicated, and we all go on such arcs that I think it's important not to get too ahead of ourselves and be. If you read too far in advance, you have that already in your head, and we all have to start at the beginning, volume 1, episode 1, so our characters can really go on that journey. But I like Sarah. I mean, I read it, I couldn't put it down. I had nightmares. I got to the governor and was like, oh my god, what the hell is this? I'm just thrilled. It's fantastic, epic storytelling.
I actually think I was actually a fan of this way before I knew it was going to be made. I remember I got a phone call from my friend Andy. He was like, "Hey, dude, you got to pick this up." It was like 2006. I just graduated college, and I was like going to the bookstore reading it. I couldn't put it down. I read the first 2 books. I didn't buy them, but I enjoyed it a lot. I enjoyed it very much. I love that. I started buying after that. I was poor. So what was awesome coming at this from a fan point was like you want it as a fan to also be true, because you've grown up loving, you love these books. And so when I found out I was going to be part of this, and I found out how we were going about it, I was so happy, because as a fan, not as someone that's part of this, I was really excited to see that we are doing it right. We are doing it absolutely right.
We still haven't heard from John.
Yeah, I just want to add, I don't think John has read the comic, so let's not say anything to it, because I don't know how he feels about
and I want to hear this from Lauren too. I'm kind of curious. This is a good question.
Yeah, I mean, I knew the comic book from the artwork, but I never really got into the character. I didn't realize that each character was each path that they're on is such a specific path, and each character in the comic book could be its own comic book, you know? So it's interesting to be on set, but I'm not in the comic book. So, you know, if I was in it, I would
Yeah, apparently you might be.
That'd be dope, yeah. Just draw me cool, that'd be good. But if I was in the comic book now, I'd probably just look to see when I die, you know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, I'm really happy to be part of this. I've never done anything like this, so I'm stoked. And I'm sorry I'm late, I just ran down the hallway to get here.
John?
Yes. So, Shane, I had read it before, and